Hello and welcome to this week's dark and seedy world of duct tape and daddy issues. Not really. It's not really dark and seedy. It's more like comfy and warm because I'm generally under a duvet when I do it, even though I tell my clients like, oh no, I'm not wearing anything at all. Why would I wear clothes in bed? Because never mind laundry. It's cold, yeah, but never mind lingerie and all that. They just want to see you naked. This week, I have with me, and I am very excited to have with me, the wonderful Fiona Fairless. I had to make it sound like a wrestling thing because or a boxing thing because we have form on this. Fiona is one of my I don't want to say oldest and dearest friends anymore because yes, where you are dearest, I don't like the idea of oldest. You're cut out.
I said I am considerably older than you, Dee. So you can say oldest.
This is another one of our running jokes, whereas Fiona is what, a month older than me?
3 months older than you.
3 months older than me. And you are really, your sound keeps cutting out very much.
I don't know why, because I'm like right up close to it.
Yeah, maybe sit back a bit because then you're not covering it up with your magnificent bosom.
Yes.
There we go. That's much better.
My unexploded bosom.
Yes, Fiona has UXBs. I'm using that now for the next call I take. So yes, Fiona and I have known each other for quite some time. We met through the trade union movement. We were both reps and members of PCS, Public and Commercial Services Union. And Fiona, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I don't know quite what to say other than I am me. I am considerably older than Dee. I have an unexploded bosom. I've just moved into my bungalow of my dreams, so I'm very happy. I'm having a bit of a bad day because yeah, I'm just well up for this. I'm very excited.
Fiona has been really encouraging with me with all my writing, and she was in fact one of the ones who would be up in the middle of the night when I was sending messages saying, oh my God, I've just had this bloke on the phone. Oh my God, I've just had this bloke on the phone. Because that was actually, I don't know if I've thanked you enough for that, but that was actually really important that I didn't feel isolated when I was working a night shift.
Well, you're more than welcome. I mean, obviously, I'm only up in the middle of the night because spoony and don't sleep and weird.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, but it was, you know, sometimes it was hard, but most of the time it was just really funny.
That's what she said. Sometimes it was hard, but most of the time it's just really funny. Title of your sex tape. So last week, as we know, I read the introduction to Duct Tape and Daddy Issues, which you can buy on Amazon if you want to read along. But yeah, and I read the introduction, so that led us into the why. So this week, I'm going to read the chapter with Fiona that goes into the how. How do you end up being a phone sex worker? What is the procedure? Because you know there's got to be a procedure. So I'm just going to take a swig of my coffee because Fiona is having a bad day. She rang me up and went, where's my link? And I was like, oh, fucking hell. But technology, but she's wearing a lovely new top and the unexploded bosom is holstered in specifically, especially for us. And on the one hand, I'm grateful. On the other hand, I like to see them fly free.
This is why I'm having such a bad day. This is why I'm having such a bad day, because I made the mistake putting a bra on. It's all gone downhill since then.
So apologies for Fiona cutting in and out sound wise. It is a very strange thing. It does come in and out. I think it's to do with her unexploded bosom covering a microphone somewhere, but we will.
I don't even know where the microphone is.
Oh, that position is perfect. That came through lovely.
Right, I'll just not move then.
I know, but I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Anywho, shall we get on? So we have this week's post-it note says, "Me and Fiona."
Of course, it's worth pointing out, Dee never calls me Fiona.
No, I don't call her Fiona. It's really weird. I call her Tiz. My nickname for Fiona is Tiz because it sounds like a mad, demented fairy, and sometimes she just gets into them. This is why Fiona is one of my favourite people. So, are you ready, Tiz?
I'm ready.
Okay, so chapter 1, I suppose, because the last one was the introduction. Beginnings. So how does one get into phone sex work? One goes online, of course. Everything is on the internet these days. Want a jar of pickled eggs? Internet. Want cheese delivered at 3 a.m? Internet. Want to hear a woman tell you yours is the biggest? Well, you get the idea. There are various companies in the UK that do this work, though some pay more than others, and some insist on you using a landline rather than a mobile. This was quite impractical for me because I was sharing a house at the time. It is one thing for me to sit and work in the kitchen so no one can hear me, and it is quite another to have the phone ringing into the wee hours. I was astounded by the sheer amount of them, which is, I suppose, the companies. It's been a while since I wrote this, so you've got to bear with me. I had assumed that in the age of free internet porn, the phone sex industry would be on its arse, but no. Let's face it, there isn't much you can't see from vanilla missionary to Brazilian fart porn. Good Lord. Have you ever seen Brazilian fart porn?
Brazilian fart porn.
Yes, it's called Brazilian fart porn because that's where it originated. I watched so this is an aside, I watched some Brazilian fart porn once, and it's literally, there was 2 women, and one's bent over and the other one's got her nose right up against her bottom.
No.
Holds her bum open.
No. Just no.
Oh, yes.
I thought that 2 dwarfs dressed as hot dogs having sex was the weirdest thing ever, but no.
What was funniest though, right, is this woman farts in the other one's face, and you can tell that she's been supposed to be going, oh yeah, I love it. But obviously this girl had not been considerate as to what she was eating beforehand, because your woman, the one farted and the other one went just for a second and pulled a face that you've never seen before, oh my god, what have you eaten? Something's crawled up there and died. And then went back to the nice.
Maybe this is what Kerry's talking about when he farts and then said it's a love fart.
Kerry, for those who are not in the know, is Fiona's husband, who is also a very good friend of mine. And when I met him, I shouted at him the first day and a friendship was born. Basically, I think he responds to that.
Well, it seems to have worked for the last God knows how many years.
Yeah, it does. Right, so Brazilian fart porn.
No.
We've learned something today. In fact, for those who can't see Tiz right now, the face she just pulled is very similar to what your girl pulled on the thing, because the other one hadn't been considerate. I'm wondering, was it filmed on a Wednesday? Was it after Taco Tuesday? What had this woman eaten that made the other one pull a face like bleh?
Fish farts, they are quite,
yeah,
neat.
Now, it has to be said, right? My husband, Phil, who you will hear a lot about on this podcast, he doesn't like fish. He never eats fish. The idea of seafood is horrible to him, right? And yet he did farts the other day that was smelling like jelly deals. I was sat there and I'm sniffing, I'm going, am I having a stroke? I keep thinking I'm by the seaside.
That's not me going at the thought of Phil's farts. That's me going at the thought of jelly
deals. And she is from Essex, folks. So. But yeah, I was like, you know that smell when you live by the sea, and it's kind of like a sharp seafood smell.
Yeah, when I go down Old Lee, where all the cockle sheds are and all the rest of it.
Yes, it smelt like the cockle sheds. so
why?
Yeah, so there we go. Right, back to the chapter. We'll try not to get tears to puke today. Right, where were we? From vanilla missionary to Brazilian fart porn, and that costs nothing. So I couldn't understand how the business model of paying to talk to a stranger on the phone could still raise any revenue. But thanks to the wonderful women at Babe Station, the booby jigglers who wave their phones seductively at the camera and sell you the illusion of actually calling them, I can log on any weeknight and speak to a plethora of horny men who want to fulfill a fantasy. I mean, this is, my pages are stuck together. No, not like that. A fantasy of actually making a woman come. And let's face it, for most of them, it is a fantasy. I have nothing but awe for those women, by the way. I am not sure I could be on screen that long, jiggling and waving without looking thoroughly bored. Fair play to them. In the small hours, I sometimes found myself musing on how many did drama school.
Yeah.
I wondered how hard, for now, it could be to do phone equivalent, and at least I wouldn't have to jiggle my boobs, but I did have the looking bored bit down pat. I discovered that there is a process to go through before you start work. You don't just jump on the phone and start oohing and ahhing. There's an application. You fill in the application, then someone from the office rings you to discuss the job. I suppose it is on the phone so they can check you don't sound like Elmer Fudd for while I am sure that there is someone out there wanking away at the talk about him shooting rabbits. That would be quite a niche fetish to have. Like, I'm sure I kind of want to look it up, you know, rule 34 of the internet. Like, if you can imagine it, someone's made porn of it.
Well, I can't imagine that it's not on there somewhere. Because, like you say, if somebody can think of it, somebody's done it.
Ooh. And rule 35 is if you can't find it, you have to make it yourself. And I'm more scared that I wouldn't find it.
Does that not, you know, float your boat then, Elmer Fudd?
No.
No,
not really my type. Though I can imagine what that porn would look like. This is the weird thing. I can imagine it would be like an animated Elmer Fudd. Like, right, and I'm sorry for the image I'm about to put into all of your heads. I truly am, but if I have to think it, so do you. An animated Elmer Fudd with a gigantic penis that's just as tall as he is, like spurting away, saying, I'm shooting rabbits.
The thing is, though, where is Bugs?
I don't want to know. And would it be like drag bugs?
Would he be in that big pot with the carrots?
Yeah, see, that wasn't very racially sensitive, was it? At the time? No, I think it would be, you know, like when Bugs Bunny dresses up as Lady Bugs Bunny.
Like Lola Rabbit.
Yeah.
That's just like, and he's laying on a bed And no, I just can't. I
No,
can't.
stop it. We're getting in too deep. And that's what she said. This is like, see, this is why me and Fiona have been friends for years, and also why it's dangerous.
Yes, things shouldn't know. It reminds me of Red Wolf when they're discussing Betty and oh God, what's her name? Velma. No. What's Betty Rubble and
Wilma.
Velma? Yeah.
Wilma Flintstone.
Yeah. And they go, we'll know it's unrealistic. She'll never leave Fred. Oh God, I can't believe I've just had a discussion about. No, anyway, right. Let's just move on.
Shall we crack on? Shall we crack on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, where have we got to? Elmer Fudd wanking. Right. Be quite a niche fetish to have, most people not finding him sexy. Conversation had, they arranged training, which you do on the phone. This, to my eternal disappointment, does not mean learning how to talk dirty or fake an orgasm. That would be much fun. Just imagine. No, Maureen. Remember we said, ooh, then then all over my face, big boy. It makes no sense otherwise. Yes, well done, Alexandra. That is exactly the wailing we were going for. Joanne, you'll kill them off if you keep going like that. To be fair, with talking dirty, you either have it or you don't. I wasn't sure I would, but it turned out I was a natural. And most of us are already more au fait with the sounding more excited than we actually are, than we would actually like. I know I'm spilling secrets here, and I'm sure that you think you're all that in a packet of chips, but seriously, do you think there is a woman in the world who hasn't faked it? Yes. Really, I can hear the hackles rising from here. Not my woman, I hear you cry. Yes, your woman too. I guarantee you that she has made the appropriate noises just to get you to finish, or to encourage you to think you're doing a good job on a day where she can't be asked and just wants to get on with cooking tea or watching Corrie or reading a book. Though, remind me to tell you about Dean from Swindon and the time I called a taxi for him during, interrupting him to ask where he lived, though he kept going, bless his heart, and sort herself out properly. And we need to stop that shit, you know. Never mind fake moaning. Pull him close and whisper, get good, in his ear. Women, if a man is not making rainbows shoot out of your vag while a chorus of unicorns sing and sprinkle glitter over you, tell him. If he matters, he won't mind and we'll want to do better. If he minds and he doesn't matter and you need to find a new one. Seriously, yep. This may be news to some, but actually wanting your sexual partner to fulfill you sexually is one of the reasons bras got burned. The bar is low, I get that, but an orgasm or two is the least you should expect. You're welcome. What do we think about this, Fiona?
Amen.
Yeah.
Like you say, if they don't mind, then that's fine. They shouldn't mind. If they do mind, kick them to the curb.
I'm going to tell you a very quick anecdote about my friend Emily, who will be coming on the podcast in a future week to help with the reading. She was with a bloke, and I'm not going to say his name, and they've been together a little while. They lived together and she was fed up with the sex being so mediocre, so being a strong independent woman of the world, she told him, and he says, well, Em, tell me what you like then. So she did. After about half an hour, she of like, not like that, yes, like that, no, keep going like that, no, I don't like that, no, what are you doing, don't try and hook it, it's not a fish. He says, fuck's sake, why don't you want to get a flip chart? And bless her reply was, well, do you think it would help?
I'm assuming that she's no longer with this fella.
No, no,
No,
she is not. No, she
no,
is not. And she is
no.
one of the most badass women I know. She don't put up with shit. She helped me, right? She's amazing. And I am going to do a formal thank you to her for introducing me to the Bullet from Ann Summers rather than just the boring old straight up and down vibrator I've been using for years because I didn't want to offend my ex.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'd have strapped you about a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. So let's have a look. So back to it. Back to the training. So
I love a bit of
well, we do love a bit of training, and I've learned all about certain sort of training since.
yeah.
Right, so what you learn about on the training are the different phone lines that you'll be expected to work on and the rules, the do's and don'ts of what you would be expected to talk about. Firstly, and I'm not even making this up, Fiona, there is clean chat. On this line, you can be clean chat.
Why?
Because some people just like to talk, right? So on this line, you can be flirty, but not dirty. If they want hardcore chat, then there is an option for that. No under 18s, even on this line. It is for chatting about stuff, not muff. I have only taken a single call on this line. And he only ended up on it by accident. It was hilarious. I was being clean and telling him about my day, how I took the dog to the vet and went and got my hair and nails done. I could hear his confusion. You see, we're not supposed to tell them they're on the clean line. Something about regulations, apparently, but eventually his confusion and good manners were overtaken by his horn and he asked, "Don't you want to hear about my hard-on?" Tells you something about the usual clientele there. Then there is the Australian clean chat, which I thought at first meant I had to pretend to be Australian. And to be honest, I was down with that. I had images of myself breathily telling our Antipodean cousins to throw another shrimp on the barbie, but it wasn't to be. The calls come in from Australia, which can be weird at 3 in the morning when they tell you they're just on their lunch break. Then there is the hardcore line, on which I get predictably the most amount of calls and make up the biggest amount of this book. The dominatrix line is self-explanatory, but really the pièce de résistance is the granny line. I get a lot of calls on the granny line. You haven't lived until you've heard a man grunt when you tell him you're 72.
It just goes to show there's something for everybody.
There really is, honestly. Honestly, it really does. Because all these men, right, and all these women who go, "Oh, I need to look young because I need to," not a bit of it. If Ole spent a night working with me on the granny line, they would just go, "Do you know what? Fuck it. Men don't want that. They do not want their women to look youthful. They want them old and wrinkly and ready to go."
Quite apart from the fact that fuck that shit.
Yes.
If you want to grow old gracefully or disgracefully, in my case, then do it. Don't be fooled into thinking that you've got to spend thousands of pounds on shit to make yourself look young and natural and all that bollocks, because it's shit. But yes, if you go and look at the porn that's out there, as we've discovered with Brazilian park porn, if you go and look at the porn out there, there is literally something for everybody. So no matter what you look like, who you are, how old you are, or whatever, there will be people out there that will dig you and want you.
And the further we get into this book, the more we are going to see that Fiona is right. So you would think,
Fiona's right.
of course, Fiona's right. Fiona's always right. There was one time she was wrong. When she thought she was wrong, it turned out she was right.
Probably true.
So you would think that anything goes in the world of the phone actress. Yes, that was really my job title. Take that, unpassed drama O level. But there are rules. 1, no chatting to anyone you even suspect might be under 18. Even if they give you a correct date of birth on asking, even if they call on a clean chat line, as if you think they are underage, you terminate the call. No talking about rape, incest, or children. If it isn't legal, we don't talk about it. Plus, ew.
Yes.
And that's it. Training's finished. You learn how to log on, how to get into the system, etc. And then you get an email from the office congratulating you and telling you it is now time to record your introductions. And that, for this week, is where we are leaving it. That's the end of chapter 1.
Wow. See, I think not only has this been entertaining, but it's also been educational.
Well, that's what I wanted with the book, to be honest. I wanted to do something that was funny, but also educational. And there is a lot in here. You're going to learn a lot about different kinks, about loneliness, about compulsory heterosexuality, believe it or not. It's quite the educational book.
But it's not even outside of what's in the book. I mean, I have today, and a lot of your watchers will also have learned about Brazilian fart porn.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it is. I mean, having read the entire book, obviously, I deliberately didn't reread before we came, so that I could relive the joy of it on camera. But yeah, I mean, it is a complete roller coaster of education, thought-provoking stuff, but mainly just really, really, really funny. And I really enjoyed having had those conversations sometimes in the middle of the night, and then I reading the book and go, oh yes, I remember that when that actually happened.
Fiona is going to thank you so much for coming on today, Fiona. This has been an absolute blast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolute blast. But yes, Fiona is going to be coming back on because one of the stories that she liked so much involved vegetable oil, and those of you who are watching via YouTube can see that she is absolutely losing her shit, and and she will again, and hopefully you will too. So there was no way I could record this book without having Fiona back for that specific chapter with the vegetable oil. And yeah, and there is another revelation that about the name on that one, because yes, all names have been changed to protect the not very innocent at all. But it's like, one of the things that I personally guarantee is if you ring me up, I might talk about what we've said or what's happened, but I'm never going to out you, not ever. So if some of you are recognizing my voice and thinking, oh, maybe I've talked to this one, don't worry, your name's never coming out. And I think that's important to say. So thank you, Fiona, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's a lovely new top, by the way. Fiona got a new top.
Not specifically for this, I just got a new top, yes, but I thought I would wear it today.
Yes, and it looks very lovely, and you look very lovely. And there are ways you can support. This is the bit where I try and pay some bills, Fiona, so you're all right for a bit. Right, so let's try and pay some bills. There are ways you can support the podcast. Some of them are free. One of them is to like and subscribe the podcast. Another one is to rate and review. That's really important, because what that does is it pushes us up the charts, and that way more people will get to hear about us and more people will get to know us. Tell your friends. That's free. Tell them I'm listening to this podcast and it's absolutely bonkers. And you might learn something too. Definitely not safe for work. Warn them it's not safe for work. I don't want anybody getting fired for downloading this on their work computer or something. Sorry, darling.
But it depends what job you've got, though.
Well, it does depend what job you've got. I'll be fine. So yes, tell your friends, spread the news. Let's create a buzz around the whole topic of being openly sexual and enjoying it, and paying your sex workers properly for the job. And the other way you can support is to hit the notification bell on YouTube as well. If you like and subscribe there, that's absolutely free to like and subscribe there as well. It's free to like and subscribe on Spotify, which is the main place that we're hosting this, because Apple are being an absolute mare with their interface. It's just not simple. It really isn't. So sorry if you can't get this on Apple. And the other way to do it is to sign up to the Patreon. The Patreon is, and I always get this wrong, I think it's Dickens writer, but there will be a link in the show notes to the Patreon, so you'll be able to get to it. Like, no worries there. It's really cheap. I've like put things down to the lowest amount because I know people are broke. I know I'm broke, otherwise I wouldn't have ended up on the phone talking to dirty old men, one of which said Nelson Mandela as he was ejaculating. But more about him later. So anybody who signs up to the Patreon gets not early access, because I want everybody to hear it at the same time, but you get to ask listener questions. So any burning question that's been going on in your mind, but what about this? But what about this? Or any question generally just about me, about life, and general advice if you want it. You get to ask questions and I will give you a shout out on the show. So that's all from me. Thank you again, Fiona, for coming. Hey, that's what he said. And have a love.
Can we get in one episode? I said, how many double entendres can we get in one episode?
Well, I'd like to give you at least one. So, and hopefully we will see you back next week for more filthy talk with Stella, myself, and our next special guest. Take care. Have a great weekend. Say bye.